I'll hear the theme this time.
Welcome to the Doom Kitchen. This is not a news show. It's a talk show. We do not give financial, legal, medical, or any kind of advice. We are not responsible for the actions of our listeners. You are responsible for you. If anything offends you, we were only joking. Promise.
Welcome to the Doom Kitchen. Today, I have in the remote studio across the pond, Mr. Jordan B. Peterson, live from England at the moment, eating some beef.
I put too much in my mouth. Only I don't have a load of Xanax in my throat. I can't swallow the beef. Ah! Oh, clean your room. Clean your room.
Dr. Peterson, you've said some terribly negative things about trolls, and most of my friends are trolls. So, what do you say? What should I say to my trollish
The problem
friend?
with the internet is now that I'm allowed back on it, the thing I hate about it is that other people are allowed to be on it and not get fired for disagreeing with me.
wait.
I have some beef on the microphone here. Just pick that off.
William from England of the History Homos podcast. That is, I'm pretty sure it's no homo, although there was a running gag for a little while. How did you guys get that name?
Well, it's nothing to do with me at all. I inherited it from Scott. Scott's like an OG. I mean, he says he's not Jewish now, but I mean, they used to say he was Jewish.
Well, his dad is.
Yeah, his dad's Jewish, and
so moms,
I guess,
moms carry the Jewish line.
Yeah, but they'll take him. But I mean, I get it. He's turned me. I wasn't really that way inclined until we started doing the show, because the thing with our show is we do, not to get straight into a plug, of course, as he gets straight into a plug. What we do on our show is every week we take a different historical topic and research it. And by the time I've been doing it about a year, I'd say, so I've done 52 lots of research, you start to notice a pattern. And unfortunately, noticing things is a terrible crime. And if you do notice something, you must give your real name and address and let me know who you're employed by, so the people who employ me can make sure you die of starvation in the street. But when you're in the street, we must have no facial recognition or 5G. Oh no, because anonymity in the street is great, but on the internet, it's fucking terrible. It's an abortion.
Oh yeah, and then also Dennis Prager says that you won't go to heaven. So
I won't go to heaven if I do what? Be English.
If you notice things, that they don't want you to notice,
that's true.
Yeah, all of those things that seem really obvious lately. That's the thing that I'm starting to get weird about on this, is that a lot of people are noticing, and so it seems like it might be manufactured. That's like the conspiracy theorist in me that's ever present.
Well, I mean, the thing is, we're in an echo chamber, and we think a lot of people are noticing, but they aren't. It's not. It doesn't matter. If I ever get into an argument with somebody, and it gets to a phase where it's going to spoil the evening, my get out mode is just to go, look, it doesn't matter what you or I think or say. We've got no power to do anything. Let's just forget about this conversation and move on, because it don't make no difference. The great Enoch Powell, the great Enoch Powell has a great quote, which is some journalist asked him a question about something, and he said, listen, nothing matters very much, and most things don't matter at all. Which I think is a pretty good way to live your life. Because outside of the show, I really try not to concern myself in any of this stuff that we talk about, because like I'm like a puny gay English idiot. Who cares what I think? Nobody. But also, I mean, the plus side of that is that I can go and just do whatever I want and stay under the radar, not make a big deal about it. And that's what I try and do in real life.
But now you have to give all of your information to Elon so that it can all be tracked, and Jordan is encouraging it, and it seems really weird how he's so adamant on this.
Well, he's got his orders, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Lucifer came to tempt him, and he got it. I mean, we talk about this on the show this week, actually. I mean, I've got some mitigation for Jordan in that. I mean, I'm sure you know guys who got addicted to drugs and stuff, and I do. Right, but I don't know anybody. Yeah, I don't know anybody who had to go to Russia and be put into a coma for 2 months to stop them from using drugs. Like this guy's way more far gone than anybody watching this show can imagine. It's beyond our comprehension how far gone he is. And then he comes out of that situation. He's got an OnlyFans daughter to support. And he's like, you know, he's got to clean his own room, hasn't he? And at the end of the day, where else? He's not going to. I'm going to start my own platform where it's going to be absolute free speech. And where is it, Jordan? That didn't happen, did it? With the platform money went to benzos. And so now here we are. The guy's on his ass. Of course he's going to take a well-paid job given to him by the devil. He went into the wilderness for 40 days, and on day 3 he caved. And but I don't really blame him for doing that. He had to look after his own shit. So, but I think he's absolutely. Maybe he is based, right? Here's an angle. Maybe he's deliberately squandering any credibility that he had, the last shred of it. It's gone, dude. Everybody hates him now. He's universally reviled.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like he's upset both sides, and plenty of the in between.
You know, you find yourself retweeting like leftards about it. And because they're right about what an asshole he is.
You know, see, that's the funny thing about people like Trump and Elon and the other people that the left have jumped on. I don't like either of those guys either, but I dislike them for different reasons. So anytime they say something about either of those people, I'm like, yeah, shut up, you're insane. But you know, I guess I'm happy that they're criticizing these people, but at the same time, they're doing it for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
They've got his number. We've got his number. Everybody dislikes him for the same stuff right now.
Yeah, it's great. It's like I mean, maybe he is based. He's uniting like the underclass, the rightoids and the leftoids can get together on this.
He's succeeding where Biden failed.
Yeah. Although Biden's doing a pretty good job of it as well. Uniting us in dislike for that. Yeah. Yeah, I guess a lot of people who do like Biden don't like Peterson, and that's weird. Because, but they're just coming at it from a different angle, aren't they? That's what it is.
They solidly fit together at this point. That's interesting. Maybe Peterson should be who runs against Biden. I know it's not possible because he's Canadian, but you know. We almost elected Ted Cruz. Well, we thought about it for a minute. He's Canadian.
Is he?
So, yeah.
It's a Canadian name, Cruz.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm too sleepy to leave Canada.
Yeah. It's Cruz is,
well,
I guess they
named the missiles after him.
Yeah, he's what Cuban, but he was born in Canada, and he's the senator of Texas,
He
the
might,
great
if he's
state of.
Cuban and he's born in Canada, what you mean a bit like
Yeah.
Justin Trudeau?
Yep, exactly. Well, there's some polar opposites there as well. Yeah.
It's weird. I just
So
like I was. We were talking before the show, and I told you I was in the pub. I went and had 2 pints in the pub just to sort of get some overhear some normies and make them annoy me, so that I'd be shot out of a cannon for the show. Dude, they still people still think politics makes any difference.
what is going on in England? It seems like they just propped up Liz Truss in order to throw her under the bus. Just do this. Okay, well, she's our scapegoat, and we just dump it all on her.
It's kind
and
of the same thing they did with Brexit. I mean, I don't know anything about Liz Truss except, I mean, it doesn't matter. I don't care who's prime minister. I wish I'd voted for Jeremy Corbyn. I'll tell you that. Because
who's that?
He was like the Trotskyite, but pre-neocon Trotskyite, the proper commie leader of the Labour Party that got defeated in the last general election, and I mean he's wrong about everything, but he might have actually had some respect for individual rights during this coof bullshit. There's a small chance that he wouldn't have implemented lockdown. Whereas our so-called, libertarian instincts, Boris Johnson says, no, you can't. No, freedom of association. Never heard of it, mate. You got a license to go see that bloke. Fuck off.
What is that? You've got a license thing. How did that end up being part of people, regular
honestly,
people?
It's ridiculous because you guys need way more licenses than we do.
Well, that's true. We just don't need it for television.
You've got to have a license to be a fucking hairdresser. We don't need licenses for shit. The other thing we do need a license for is a television, which is like, even Stalin didn't think of that. But I don't have a television. I don't give a fuck.
Right. Well, see, the reason why they don't regulate that activity is they want you doing it. They want you on the telly.
Yeah, exactly.
Not thinking so.
So that I mean, not paying the license fee is a big thing, but this is what annoys me about the sort of rebellious types in England is that they go, I'm not paying my fucking license fee. Fuck off. Because you can have a TV. The rule that you can have a TV, but you're just not allowed to watch TV programs on it as they are broadcast, whether it be over the internet or through the aerial or whatever. You can watch streaming shit and all that kind of stuff without one. But they totally missed the point. They go, I'm not paying my license fee. And they have these license inspectors and they know all the addresses that don't have a license. And they come on the door and they go, hello, mate. You got a license for your television? And you go to the door and you go, I ain't got a telly, mate. And then they go, can I come in and have a look? And you go, no, fuck off. And that's it. That's the end of it. They're not allowed in. So it's like you say, they're not really regulating it. They're just getting the people who are soft enough to pay, they get the money from. But this is what annoys me about the people who don't pay, is that they still watch TV. You've got to don't pay and don't watch. And that if you're going to pick one, pick don't watch. Don't fucking watch it. It's all just fucking there to change you.
Yeah.
Bad news.
Yeah, it's sitting there pushing narratives. And so the cool thing about what you guys do and why I listen to your show every week is you guys take the narrative and you're sitting here and you're looking at it. Right. Well, you go deeper into the subject and explain what really, really happened. And there are a lot of those characters that rub their hands together that plot these things. But
I guess we're on YouTube, aren't we?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So sorry. I mean, what we do is we make it about Jews and how they're our greatest ally, And if you look at any topic in history, it turns out the Jews are the good guys.
Right, and they had absolutely nothing to do with the USS Liberty at all on a single thing. Yeah,
it was an accident, dude. It could happen to anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it only had like a 13-foot high US flag trailing from the stern. It could happen. It looks a bit like an Egyptian flag. Come on.
I think it looks exactly like an Egyptian flag and an Egyptian freighter. Anybody could have made that mistake.
I mean, I follow a load of, because I'm like into nautical stuff, and I follow a load of like sailing and shipping channels on Instagram, or the show does. And a lot of them look like American battleships, especially the Egyptian tramp steamers. Egyptian spy ships look just like American battleships.
I would think that if it's a spy ships just, you wouldn't be able to see a spy ship. You wouldn't know what a spy ship was.
Well, they generally look like fishing vessels. They generally dress them up as fishing boats. Yeah,
that makes
a fishing boat looks a lot like a battle cruiser. Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, you guys take the narrative as it's been. Yeah. And then we did. We groveled our way out.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you do sort of notice that. So we came up with this idea of the Rhodes pill, which I have to give credit to New York comedian Larry Bayer, who's one of our black friends. He kind of hipped us to this shit. I know, like Jay Dyer talks about it a lot as well, but I don't. I don't watch anybody else. Yeah, I don't watch any videos at all. I don't like watching videos. I just listen to audiobooks. And Larry hipped us.
Well, it pays off, obviously.
Yeah, we did an episode really near the beginning of the show where Larry came on, and we did because Larry used to be in the Air Force, the USAF, and we did a show about the Hiroshima bombings. And Larry was like, "Oh, dude, it's all the Empire is still the British Empire, man." I was like, "What?" And we didn't get it. And then a couple of weeks after that, we did a Boer War episode, and we're like, "Oh, wait, this is what Larry was talking about." And this is like just to put it in a nutshell. This guy called Cecil Rhodes. So we invented the Rhodes pill. That's our little hashtag that we invented. And this guy called Cecil Rhodes was like a gay spastic who went to South Africa to start working basically to try and not die of tuberculosis and become rich. And he did both pretty well. And he also got a lot of boy pussy in the process, but he co-founded De Beers, which is the company that owns all the diamonds in the world, and he became, by the time he was in his late 20s, he was so rich it was incalculable. And he, like so many of these people do, he decided, well, I'm not going to talk about where his initial startup capital came from because we're on YouTube, but he
you can. They haven't touched me yet, so do whatever you want. Like we'll see what happens. I know that they're there on their walkie-talkies. Shut it down.
But it's irrelevant because at the end of the day, if it wasn't that, I think they're just the chosen group because they can get away with it because of the victim status. But I think the Anglos would have done it anyway, even with or without them. Do you know what I mean? Because like that particular country, there's a state in the Eastern Mediterranean whose soldiers shoot children in the balls. That country, it's a British Empire project. It was spun
Yeah,
off
it's
from the British
like
Empire.
Pico, right?
Yeah, it's the Balfour Declaration in the 30s, and like so. But this all goes back to Cecil Rhodes, and Cecil Rhodes's idea was to create an imperialism to govern the world, and he, at the time, he was talking about the British Empire. But how they had to actually implement it after his death was because a lot of people don't understand is that, like, the modern nation state is such a recent thing. People don't realize this. Like, the state of Italy didn't exist until the 1860s. Germany didn't exist till 1850 as a modern nation state. It was a lot of little principalities and shit, right? And they basically, Prussia took over this massive area of all the other ethnically German states, and that became the modern state of Germany. 1854 or something like that. It's very, very recent that any of these things were countries. The only, like, France was what you'd call a modern nation state. The United States was a modern nation state. United Kingdom was probably the first modern nation state, maybe that or France. Spain was a coalition of different principalities. Italy was hundreds of bloody principalities. So it wasn't until
Spain was still recovering from the Crusades at that time, even, right?
Yeah.
It's just like
Spain never
really weird, but
Spain never made money. It's never turned a profit, even at the height of their imperialism, which was like, so before the British came along, the imperialism was governed by the papacy, and they basically said anything to the east is Portuguese, and anything to the west is Spanish, which was basically fuck you, Spain. But they got a load of money together and found America. But the point is that by the sort of mid 19th century, the British were pretty much on course to rule the whole world. And then these modern states emerged, notably Germany and Italy. And they started becoming industrialized and having imperial ambitions, which neither Germany nor Italy got very far with that. And the reason for that was there were secret elements in the British Foreign Office who were already organized by this Cecil Rhodes thing to head that off at the pass and make sure that didn't happen. And Germany started World War One. They overlooked provocation after provocation after, like, 5 provocations just in Morocco, and eventually they fell for it, right? And this carefully planned bullshit, and you can see it.
That sounds just like Ukraine. It sounds just like the provocations that led up to that.
Yeah, anyone who's got one eye open can see they're doing exactly the same thing. What you've seen them do to Russia over the last 14 years is exactly the last 8 years in particular, is exactly what they did to Germany. And it was from when Queen Victoria died. Queen Victoria died like 2 years after Cecil Rhodes died, I think. They couldn't do anything until that, but they had been working on her son, who became King Edward VII, who was a fat, gay pervert who would rape anything that would stand still for 2 minutes. He was the most degen monarch we've ever had. And he'd been going around building alliances and doing all this diplomacy shit. And I'm sure he didn't understand what he was doing, but these secret elements in the Foreign Office did. And so here's a case study. So Germany was kind of protected because Kaiser Wilhelm was Queen Victoria's favorite nephew. And so the British Foreign Office couldn't do anything about it until she died. And then they got this guy who's just like Prince Charles now. I mean, honestly, it's like when this World War happens again, it's not going to be World War III. It's going to be World War One, Part 2, because the lead up to it is exactly the same as the lead up to World War One. And so we've now got this King Charles III. By the way, King Charles I got his head cut off. King Charles II presided over the restoration of the monarchy. Like these, they named him Charles for a reason, dude. He's like, Charleses have all been bad guys. Right? And so, anyway, they, not to go too far off on a tangent.
Oh, go for it.
They managed to provoke Germany to start World War One, and then everything that's happened since then is a consequence of that. Right? So you could take, World War Two, World War One A when it comes along. It all flows from that, and it's all about the banks taking over the world.
The other thing that has a common thread between these three world wars, I'm calling what we're involved in at the moment a world war, is that there was talks of a possible German and Russian trade alliance before everything just became a mess right after.
Shut it down.
Exactly. It's like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna help you with some gas. We're gonna trade and we're gonna work together. And Anglos don't like that too much.
I mean, that was the worst thing about Trump was him going. I mean, I get him wanting to. If he'd really defunded and destroyed NATO, I would be sucking his dick right now if he wanted me to. But what he did was say, "Oh, you can't have this Nord Stream thing. You shouldn't be buying gas from Russia. It's too dangerous." And why is it dangerous? Well, it's dangerous because if you do it, we're gonna fuck you up. That's what it is.
And then Biden said the exact same thing, pretty much.
Our nurses in our wonderful free healthcare NHS system of talking about going out on strike for a 19% pay rise, which they don't deserve. They all deserve to be fired and die of starvation in the street. But however, fair. I mean, I'm now on general principle in favor of all strike action. I think this is my message to your listeners is we all need to go out on strike. Everybody. If you get a chance to join a strike, do it. Fuck this capitalism versus socialism bullshit. We need to withdraw our labor while they still want it. Because they're planning on not wanting it anymore. So fuck them.
Right. They're trying to take our chips away. And so we got to use our chips right now. Bro.
Yeah, we should all be on strike.
Yeah.
All of us.
But what should we be doing?
I don't know. But look, I'm not on strike. I'm a faggot. I've got to feed my family.
I mean, I've got to drive too. Like we both drive. Yeah. We didn't bring that up yet. That you're a driver over in Jolly-Ol, and I'm a driver over here in the what do you guys call the Yanks now?
I don't know, America.
Oh, okay.
America, goddammit.
It sounds exactly like what we call it, America without an A. Yeah.
But you know what a lot of people forget is that I'm not trying to fucking stick up for it. I hate the vast majority of the bovine fucking assholes in this country. I hate, but this country is supposed to stand for an idea. And the American Revolution was about standing up for the ideals of the Magna Carta and the British idea of liberalism, right? That was the English government became illiberal, and that caused a rebellion in America. And I'm 100% on side with that. But there's no doubt it's shot through with English liberalism. But right. I could talk to I could talk to 100 people about it that I randomly met in the street, and they wouldn't have any conception of what the fuck I was talking about. Right. So to call it English liberalism now is ridiculous, because the fucking herd of cows, sheep, cattle that we are has just fucking forgotten about it. And like, so when this lockdown shit was going on, I was like, I don't watch TV. Don't get a newspaper. I never knew what the rules were. So I had no chance to obey them. And I had no intention of obeying them, because I'm a fucking freeborn Englishman, and I can associate with whomever I fucking please whenever I like. So you can, if like, that is the natural or God-given law, and that's the law that I abide by. But I don't expect the police to respect that, and if they lock me up, well, I get locked up. It's fucking tough shit, isn't it? It's like, the Waco siege. There was an English guy involved in that. A guy, West Indian English guy called. In fact, there are a lot of English people in Waco, and they were all black. Because it wasn't. Waco wasn't a cult. Waco was kind of like a Bible college where you'd go for a few weeks and listen to David Koresh preach and play his sick ass fucking tunes. And most people who were there didn't live there. They were visiting to learn about Bible shit from Dave. And one of those guys was a guy called Livingston Fagan, who's now a professor of theology, I think, at Nottingham University. And he got a draconian jail sentence after the Waco siege, because he was the guy they sent out to negotiate with the FBI, right? And of course, they just fucking double-crossed him. Obviously, it goes without saying, doesn't it? and Livingston Fagan was so based, he never said a fucking word in court, right? He just said, I only recognize the author. He didn't even say it, but after they eventually got sick of holding him and released him, he just, I only recognize the authority of Christ. I'm not going to cooperate with these proceedings. And I think he was locked up for like 12 years, and then they just deported him back to England. And before I deleted my Facebook, he was my Facebook friend, and we used to chat. He's a fucking based guy. He's a really nice guy. Where's he gone? I'm still live. Okay, I'm going to carry the show. We're going to wait for Andy to get back. Unfortunately, I just finished a point, so I was kind of waiting for Andy to come back at me. But here he is. There, I vamped.
Sorry about that. So, Waco is probably about 200 miles north of me right now, and one of my friends went to the Waco Museum, and there's an old lady there, and she said that the reason that they sieged Waco was that Koresh found some weapons that they were just had hanging out there. They weren't his. He just found them, and then he told them, he's like, "Hey, I found these weapons. What am I supposed to do with it?" And they said, "Don't bother it." Apparently, it was some kind of trade that they were trading weapons for guns, and this is how the Bush Clinton crime syndicate works. They were for them to
find so that they could siege it.
Yeah. Well, because he picked them up and kept them safe, and then they sieged him, but it was apparently to do with all the Clinton Mena, Arkansas drug trading BS that was going on. They were trading drugs there, and then weapons were coming from Texas.
And don't forget that the day they launched the siege was the day of the Randy Weaver trial verdict, which was not guilty. And they wanted to bury that.
Yeah, they got really draconian in the early 90s. I was just a teenager, so I was tween, 13, 14, whenever all this stuff was going down. So
Yeah, so I care so much about American history that I grew a mullet.
Your mullet it's a king mullet. I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
You're
It's coming on. It's
you're
about 2
welcome.
years worth now. Yeah.
You're welcome in my home state of Texas anytime as an ambassador.
I entered via a proxy, via like the other listener of our show. I entered who lives in Utah, and is a good egg. And I believe you've actually met him IRL.
But wait, who is this?
No, let's not dox. But this guy who you've met, who lives in Utah.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. He entered the US mullet competition with using photographs of me. Because obviously, like I'm just an English faggot, and I'm like putting that. Oh, I can say that on YouTube. I'm putting forth my, it's one of the best mullets in England, but it's not going to be an all America champion, is it? It's got to be. Plus, mine's kind of like.
I think Australia's got to have better mullets than the United States.
You reckon? South Africa's got great mullets as well, and New Zealand. South Africa and New Zealand have got great mullets.
Oh yeah,
they're real like.
Yeah. I lived in New Zealand for a little while.
Did you? Yeah, I went there for 2 months in 1993, and while I was there, I owned the best car I've ever owned, which was a 1977 Datsun 120Y, Sunny, little rear wheel drive with a live axle, 4-cylinder, lightweight, rack and pinion steering, and like back then, at least, I don't know about now, but most of the roads were just gravel. Dude, driftathon. It was just the best car. But it was, every one of those little Datsuns got to the scrapyard under its own, got to the breaker's yard under its own steam because they just rotted away. They just became a perforated, like a tea bag kind of thing with a unburstable engine and transmission in it.
A backpacker car?
Yeah. So I bought it. I bought it for 200 New Zealand dollars the day we arrived. Drove it completely round New Zealand, both islands, from one end to the other and back again. And it used 1 pint of oil, and I had to pay $10 for a tire because one of the tires got an egg in it. Other than that, Japanese car, dude. It was perfect.
Yeah, I had a Mitsubishi while I was there. I picked that up 10 years after. So I was there a little more than 10 years. I was there for 2006, the end of 2006 to the end of 2007. And yeah, so I picked up a backpacker car for about $400. So that's the difference in currency in that amount of time. I'm sure it's probably about a G now. Just because 15 years later, here we are.
Yeah, so they have, you don't have to insure it there, do you? Because they have no fault insurance. The state is basically, they have state insurance for third party risk.
I don't remember insuring it. I probably didn't.
You don't need to. No, you don't.
Yeah.
There's no. They have. I think it's probably the only place in the world that does it. They have no fault insurance. So if you can insure your own risk. So if you crash your own car into a fucking tree and set it on fire, if you don't have insurance, you're fucked. But if you kill somebody else, the state covers it, which is pretty gay, really. But at least it keeps the out of it. And so it's not the worst thing in the world, but you have to have like an annual inspection, which they call warrant of fitness, and they put a sticker on the windscreen that says the date it expires. And the date my Datsun's one expired was like the day after my flight to England was. So I don't care what's wrong with it. I'm just going to drive it around. And as it turned out, it was a Buick. And when I got back, I sold it for $100. So it only cost me 100 New Zealand dollars, which is like 50 US, to have a car for 2 months. and the repairs on it cost me a total of about $15 to keep it going. It's like fucking crazy, dude.
I retired mine. It had been through a lot of people, and then
Yeah.
I couldn't get it to go anywhere, and the repair was going to be more than I had, so I just let them tow it off.
Right.
Always fun. But yeah, I got to be the last person on that Mitsubishi. I forgot what the type it was though, because it was the equivalent of a US Galant, but it was called something else.
Right. Okay. Yeah. We have Gallants here. Beautiful looking cars, those. I think
Yeah,
it's
it
one
wasn't
of the
bad.
best looking saloon cars ever made. That.
Yeah,
They,
it was a nice little go place.
I don't know how it is there now, but they used to be all like Japanese domestic market cars because nobody bought new cars in New Zealand at the time. It was, you've got a 2 or 3 year old one, JDM, exported from Japan, because they both drive on the left hand side of the road, don't they? And it's Japan. Japan's not near New Zealand, but it's as near to New Zealand as it is to anywhere else.
Right. And yeah, I had to get used to that, because I know that you're used to it, but it's a really weird thing driving on the other side of the road for me.
The weirdest, it's like when you've just like, I don't know, had a nap and woken up or something, or if you, although most of the time when I drive on the right, I'm driving a right-hand drive car, because I drive my car in France or whatever. And that's where you can have an accident, because you like, if you stop for a piss or something, and then you get back in and you just go, oh, I'm driving on the wrong side of the road. Fuck.
Right.
Yeah.
So in France, they drive on the American side.
Yeah. Like, it's weird how many places drive on the left, isn't it? Like, because like most of Asia drives on the left, but they drive on the right in Russia, France, but literally all of Europe, mainland Europe, apart from England and Ireland. In England and Ireland and associated islands, they drive on the left. But everywhere else in Europe, it's on the right. But then there's a lot of places in Asia that drive on the left, and Australia, New Zealand, they drive on the left. And I don't know, they used to drive on the left in Sweden, apparently, back in the day, but they switched over. It's just fucking wild. What a stupid thing to do.
Why? Yeah, that is, like, once you picked one, you have to stick with it, or else. Yeah.
Well, there was talk of it back in the 70s. They used to talk about, oh, England's so backwards driving on the left, we need to switch over to driving on the right, and they just couldn't make that fly, because people were like, fuck off. It's just a way of making you buy a new car.
Why did they swap it anyway? Why is it different anywhere? I mean, there's not that many countries that actually make cars. So yeah,
they do make them in Sweden, I guess. Yeah, they make cars in Sweden, or they used to. So I guess they thought, yeah, we might as well switch over to right-hand drive, because most of the cars we sell go to Europe, and then we can just make one kind of car, apart from for these fucking English pseudo.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I have to wonder why there's a right hand, left hand side in the first place. Just why wouldn't cars standard?
I don't understand why. Most people are right-handed, right?
Yeah.
So if you've got a manual transmission, it makes sense to be sitting on the right-hand side of the car, because you got your good hand on the steering wheel, and you're changing gear with your spasticated hand.
Okay. Yeah.
Plus, your clutch is on the left, and it matches your left hand and your left foot doing the gear change. It just seems to me like that makes sense. But also, the French, when they first started building cars, they drove on the right, but they made them right hand side, because the French really were like the pioneers of building cars, and they they really did it before anyone else, and they thought, well, if we're going to drive on the right hand side of the road, which we are definitely going to do, then the steering wheel should be on the right so that you know where the curb is. But then it took them a few years, and they figured out, oh no, you want to be on the other side of the car. So if you get a really, really, really old French car from like 1901 or whatever, it'll be right hand drive. But it wasn't that they drove on the other side of the road. It was just that they hadn't figured out which was the best side of the car to sit on.
Yeah, I wonder why also, like we're both truck drivers, why a majority of truck drivers drive solo. Why don't they set it up to where it's just one seat and maybe put the driver in the center? That might even be better.
I mean, one seat would definitely be better because you got more room for fucking shit.
All your junk. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Scania did that in the, I'd say, late 90s. They brought a model out in the UK, which wasn't really, it was like everything's cab over here. And they brought one out that didn't have a passenger seat, but it had like a really comfortable bunk arrangement. It's still a pretty small cab, but a really comfortable bunk arrangement and a fridge. And I think it had a shower or some shit in it like that. It's one that you could just stand up in those days. Like now,
that would be
way taller. But like, it's better to have a shower than a passenger seat, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't need this useless passenger seat. It's just taking up room. You're still there. It appears. It's just your camera turned off.
It probably has. Yeah, it has there. So, I mean, like, your boss doesn't even allow you to pick anybody up anyway. So what's the point in having a fucking seat?
Right. And I would love to, because I like that trip in New Zealand. I spent a lot of that hitchhiking around. I didn't get my backpack part until toward the end of my stay there. But I like talking to people and putting random strangers in and chatting with them. I would love that, but you get fired in a second if you work for a mega carrier doing that.
Yeah. It's like, I used to be able to take my kids to work. Right. Oh, fucking think. I think it might be my computer that's gay. But the gay guy detector's gone off on my computer.
Oh no.
Yeah, I used to like smuggle my kids to work and stuff like that, but you can't do that anymore. I used to take my dog to work. No way. Just doesn't happen anymore. It used to be every other guy. Can you vamp for like 2 minutes? Because I have an important engagement I need to shake hands with my best mate.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I
can't. I gotcha.
Okay, I'll be right back.
All right. Yeah, so we've been talking about traveling around and trucking and all the other fun stuff. One thing I think is really cool right now is we're not the only ones. It's not just William and it's not just me. There's Tommy Salmons out there. He's a truck driver that talks to people and tells his life story and comes up with his ideas and shares them. And then there's Reed Coverdale out there. He's another truck driver that is a podcaster as well. So we're all in good company. Let's see. There's Gord. I've only heard Gord talking to Tommy, but he does other stuff. And yeah, so there's quite a few podcasting truckers out there, and I think that's a really cool thing because we're sharing things from the perspective of somebody that's kind of interwoven into every society. It's like, so you can get the British perspective there from William. It's different in a way. It's a lot different area to cover, and it sounds like he crosses country lines. It sounds like he's going into France every now and then, and things like that. So there's a different way to do everything that's done, and then we're all working guys. We're all people that wake up and go to work. It's not like we're collecting a check from anything or anything like that. We're people that out here actually doing stuff, bumping docks and getting loaded and going to get our trailers washed out and growing mean mullets, or in my case, I can't grow a mullet because I can't grow hair up here, and just decided to abandon me. But yeah, I know a few truckers that drive with their dogs, and those guys I consider extremely lucky, just because it's kind of like cabin fever in here. Sometimes you spend all your time listening to the other trucker podcasters, but you don't have anybody else to talk to or see or anything like that, and so the road is kind of lonely, and so it's cool for those guys to have dogs, but a lot of the big companies don't allow dogs. They do, I guess, in some medical exceptions and things like that. But there's William coming back, and yeah, a dog would be great company on the road, hanging out, Scooby-Dooing it across America or the UK with your dog. But a lot of the companies don't allow that anymore.
Well done. I'm sorry I had to go grind up some benzos and snort them in the lavatory.
Thank you, Dr. Peterson.
Yeah.
They crushed him.
Yeah.
I made that meme where it was Ben Shapiro telling Jordan Peterson that he's Reek now, based off of the Game of Thrones show. I don't think you watched it. You don't watch television, but so there was this guy. He decided to torture this guy until he broke, and told him that he has to go by the name Reek now. He cut his wee off as well, and and so he got that kind of treatment, and that's what Jordan seems like to me right now, that he's been decapitated.
Yeah, I mean, I never was a fan of, this, Andy, because when I've always said, and I did make a bit of an exception for Jordan Peterson, but all these guys who gave young men advice about how to be a man, that is the most cringe thing, because it's something a real man would never do. You don't give young men, maybe your own kid, if he's really acting like a fucking asshole, you give him some advice. But you don't go around generally scattering wise old man advice around like a fucking dickhead, especially not if it's what kind of shoes you're gonna wear, Gavin McInnes.
Well, I think that it makes
all
sense.
Those guys. Yeah,
a lot of people are derelict of their duties as parents these days, and so Jordan decided to pick up that mantle. Not that Yeah,
it's a good way to make money. I'm not saying it's not a good way to make money.
Cha-ching, cash in.
But I did cut him. I cut him a break before, but recent events have not reflected well on my decision to do that, because it turns out he's even worse than Steven Crowder and Gavin McInnes and these fake whats.
Grifters is the popular term these days.
That is the term.
Yeah.
Grifters. We used to have a bicycle here called the Rally Grifter, and it was like a poor man's rally chopper.
I love Raleighs. I used to ride one, so they're one of my favorite brands.
As in Sir Walter, isn't it? RALIEGH. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, French make great bicycles. They make the best Peugeot bicycles. Can't beat them.
Yeah. Motobacan or Motobacane. That's another French name.
I think it is.
Yeah. Speaking of things that they do on the other side, French like to swap their bottom brackets. They're I guess it's left threaded instead of right threaded, or right threaded instead of left threaded. I can't remember exactly which one.
Like a gas ball.
Yeah, you just got to get a different bottom bracket extractor if you have a French version.
Yeah, they make good Peugeot bikes are fucking great. But Motobacane, I know them as making mopeds. They used to make that. had it like, I mean, even in my youth, I don't know if they still have them. I haven't been to France since they brought the. Well, I have a few times since they brought the euro in, but it just became prohibitively expensive to go there. But when they used to have the French franc, it was a great place to go. It's because they have. Yeah, for all people like to shit on France, and nobody that likes it more than I do. It's a beautiful country, and the people in the countryside are fucking great. They're not friendly, but they're great. They live a great lifestyle, and they don't give a fuck about what you think about it. And yeah, they used to have these little mopeds called motorbicanes that were. It was basically like like in the 1930s, a butcher or a grocer would have a young boy who would ride a big bicycle with a basket on the front of it and do deliveries and shit. Yeah, it's like one of them, but instead of a basket on the front, it's got a little 2-stroke motor with a pull cord thing and 2 little wheels that rub against a tire and make it go. So it's a front-wheel drive motorbike. I've never ridden one, and I never want to, but they were so popular, dude.
Weren't you into the mod thing? You guys had an episode on that. That was really fun.
I a lot of my friends were into. I was a punk rocker. Self-styled, or if I wasn't into punk rock, I was into like AC/DC and shit like that. And we used to call that heavy metal. They don't call that heavy metal anymore, do they? But it was then. But I really music. I liked AC/DC and the Who almost equally because they're both rock bands. It was like, but as I got older, the sort of background, the sort of foundations of mod music, I think are superior because it's based on like Stax and Motown type stuff. It's got nothing to do with the Who, really. The Who just cashed in on it. The Otis Redding and shit like that is mods were into that, and yeah, that's better than anything, isn't it? Who's better than Otis Redding? The guys are, I mean, like.
Yeah, I didn't recognize that. The mods have like a soul root.
For sure, yeah. Because like after the original mod thing, then in the sort of early 70s, late 60s, up in the Northwest, they had this kind of what amounted to a mod revival because it was all the same kids, They got into this Northern Soul, as they call it, which was all like the Motown and Stax and whatnot B-sides that had never been played on the radio, even in America. And they would, the DJs would go over to America and buy these records that nobody had bought over in America. And so that, like, this is a weird cultural phenomenon where they have. So over here we have holiday. Like the working class holiday was like, because the working class people were always poor, but holidays were provided for them. Okay. And so there were these camps called Pontins and Butlins where you would go and you'd stay in like a prefabricated concrete chalet with your family and do self-catering. But you could leave your kids in the chalet at night and go to a dance hall or whatever. And in the winter months, that these things still exist, and in the winter months, they are booked up for weekenders, for Northern Soul people and mods and stuff like that. And they get these acts who never even made it in the 60s, right? But they now can make a living touring UK holiday camps in the winter and make, a few $1,000s a weekend doing that.
Oh, that's awesome.
You hear these guys get interviewed and they're like, I was in a band in like 1962 and yeah, we cut a demo and stuff, but I never knew anybody heard it. And now I'm here. I'm 80 years old and I'm in Rhyl in North Wales. And I'm getting paid £5,000 to do a week and getting my flights paid for to do a weekend at Rhyl at Butlins. It's fucking crazy, dude. But these people the boomers are so committed to the shit they used to like when they were teenagers.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that's every generation. They take your nostalgia and they sell it back to you at some point. They just
Yeah.
and now it's all the bands that I used to like, and I mean I still do based off of the art itself, but I don't like the people that make the music anymore just because you
Yeah,
find
yeah.
out enough about them and it's like, oh yeah, they want you injected, they want
But
your
you need to
kids
be
to
you
cut
need
your
to get
face
into
off.
Northern Soul, brother. You need to get into Northern
Yeah,
Soul because those guys don't want you to do fuck all. They're quite happy.
uh,
They're just amazed that you've ever heard their music. But
that's
yeah,
awesome.
like so
Yeah.
the really, really, really obscure American early 60s black music is less obscure in England than it is in America, which makes sense because the Beatles were ripping it off and they were gay. And like so like the counterculture druggy type English youth went, oh wait a minute, this is what the Beatles have been listening to. I like this. Because the Beatles suck.
That's cool. Yeah, they went and took what the other
Yeah,
bands
yeah,
were, what all the bands were influenced by,
yeah.
and
So yeah, I'll get. I don't. Are you ready to wind up more or less? Because
yeah, let's wind up.
okay, so
I just want to
I
give
can.
you a chance to promote everything you want to promote.
Well, let me finish off with a little
Okay,
anecdote about something that happened
okay.
to me this summer. Okay, so we went to this homeschool camp this summer, and you've heard about it because you listened to our show. But we went to this homeschool camp. Me and my daughter, who I homeschool, and she was 7 at the time, and we had an absolute scorching hot summer this summer. It was great. But listen, this is the wild thing about England, okay? A lot of the people in England who homeschool do it because school isn't gay enough, right? So there's like there is a lot of them are Christian, but like me, a lot of them are like do it because they're Christians. But and it is something it's very liberal in England. Anyone can do it as of now. They're trying to they've been trying to change it since forever, but it is very liberal since 1946. You don't have to send your kid to school in this country. It's pretty, like you say, this whole you need a license, mate. It's a little bit misplaced. It's funny, but it's a little bit misplaced because
You guys have better schools
it's
anyway, though. I mean, people in the United
yeah,
States,
and I don't need,
if they got
I
a
don't need permission.
third grade,
Yeah, I didn't need permission to take my kid out of school. I just said I'm taking her out of school. But granted, most people don't know you can do that, but you can. And so anyway, we did that and went to this, and I was like, it was shocking. They had gay flags flying. I didn't even know what they mean. And you know what that means? That means it's about fucking kids, dude.
You meant that it was really gay, that school was that they didn't think school was gay enough, and I thought you were just saying gay isn't like weird or lame.
It's not even that it's not even that it's the majority of people even at that camp that were like that. It's that they're the ones with the flags, and the Christians don't want to upset anybody. You know what I mean? So like the Christians are just like, I mean, not even. I was seething. I do a lot of seething in my life, but they didn't even seethe. Most of them are just like, oh, yeah, well, it's fine.
They were Oakley Dokley with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they were Flanders.
Yeah, that's a television reference. You don't watch television, but
I know Flanders. I know Flanders.
Okay.
Yeah. But so anyway, so we arrived on the Tuesday, and on the Thursday, because it's on this big showground, which is an area where they can have loads of different things going on. Okay, we can see this. They're putting all these like things up, and stages and shit going up, and we're like, I wonder what that is. So we had to walk over, and it was the Hillbilly Hoedown. Okay. And I was like, oh man, this looks pretty good. And they had like a big inflatable slide that kids could slide down and shit like that. And we're looking at it, and then they put our gay festival put out an announcement on the PA saying, "Oh, please don't be because they had Confederate flags and shit flying and stuff like that, which was kind of what caught our eye."
Based.
And so the organizers of our thing put out an announcement saying, "Please do not go to the Hillbilly Hoedown. We're going to be lodging a complaint with the. In fact, they pulled this gay festival from that site, and I think it's because of that, right? But anyway, we're not going to it next year. We're going to be working as crew on the Hillbilly Hoedown because we went, right? And the reason we went was we just one afternoon, I took the kids over on bicycles because they could see this big inflatable slide, this massive inflatable slide. And the kids are, I want to go on that. And I was like, oh, I'll take you. And literally, the festival we were at had marshals telling you not to go to it. And I was like, what? Am I being detained? How does fuck off sound? So we went over there, expecting to have to pay, right? And so there's these kids. There's a lady, well, a couple of ladies watching the kids going up and down this slide. And we arrive on our bicycles and lean the bicycles up. And I sort of looking around for somebody to pay or whatever. And the lady goes, "Oh, are you from the homeschool festival?" And I says, "Yeah." She says, "Oh, well, you know, the kids can go on it. It's fine. Enjoy yourselves." And so I says, "All right, yeah." And then, like, after about 15 minutes, she goes, "Oh, I work in the office here. Can you keep an eye on my daughter?" Right? It's like, oh man, these are my peeps. You know, this is the wholesome crowd. Okay. And yeah, it's all the guys with the Fonzie hairstyles and weird American cars and, you know, stuff that looks like they're out of the Addams Family or something, you know.
That's awesome.
But and then so I watched her kids for about half an hour, and then she came back and she says, "Oh, thanks a lot." She says, "Look, if you anytime you want to come over, it's fine. You're welcome." Oh, all right, thanks very much. So we went back. Me and another family that we're friends with who were at the homeschool, we went back and we went and we danced to this kind of, it was like rockabilly kind of stuff is what it was. So they had like a hall and they were doing rockabilly bands and stuff and dancing. Everyone was dressed up in full like country regalia rather than Western regalia. You know, it was like dungarees and overalls and
like more of a farmer
straw
style
hats type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were all dressed up like that, and there was loads of stalls selling that kind of shit and stuff. And all the ladies were done up like 1950s teenagers, you know, with the big, incredibly complicated hairdos and beautiful little A-line dresses and all that kind of shit. It was ace. Right? To put a fine point on it, it was an excellent night out. The kids loved it. The adults loved it. It was great. But we paid the first night. We paid £5 per adult to get in, and to the actual concert, and the kids got in for free. And then the following afternoon, the kids had such a good time. She said, "Oh, can we go back and go on the slide again?" I goes, "All right, okay." And the same lady came out and says, she says to me, "Oh, it's lovely to see you last night. Thanks for coming." She says, Here's 3 armbands for the rest of the weekend. You can come as much as you want." It's like fucking great. And we ended up talking to her husband, who was the guy who owned it. And he says, and we says, because we were actually working because we're so poor and tight, we were working as crew on the Home Crew Festival. He says, "Oh, if you like working crew on Home Crew Festival, here's my mobile number. Come and do this. You You get free ticket. In fact, I'll pay you 50 quid each. So that's
nice.
the Homeschool Festival changed venues and isn't going back there, but we are. We're going to the Hillbilly Hoedown, and
Awesome.
it's going to be great. The kids can't wait.
That's how it works. You got to find your vibe, find your tribe.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are misfits, and we're not on the same wavelength as them by a long chalk, but you can respect it. You know, like, this is something I can respect.
Right.
These guys put a lot of effort into having a good time, and these other guys who we're working for this week put a lot of effort into being fucking miserable.
Yeah.
You know, this whole...
Yeah, that's their game. They're miserable and they want to make everybody else miserable. So it is an effort.
I mean, I don't care how pro-gay you are. Having gay children is miserable, and I know because I've seen it. You know, it's like, and these children are only gay to please their parents, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knows what they are until they're an adult, and whatever they're trying to.
I reckon I knew I was straight when I was about 14.
Well, defaults are expectable at the very least, you know. But yeah, I don't think anybody needs to be promoting that. And
no. You don't need to promote anything.
Yeah, but I do need you to promote something.
Okay, well,
how do people listen to William from England every single week?
Well, there's History Homos podcast, which is one of the best podcasts in the world. It's available wherever you get podcasts, except YouTube, because we just couldn't. I mean, you've heard me. I did my best to navigate it tonight, but we can't. Yeah, and
you're a troublemaker.
Yeah, so we're on everything except YouTube for audio, and if you want video, you have to go to rockfin.com, ROKFIN.com/History Homos. But the video is just a picture of me. You don't really see that. But we also, on Rockfin, we do a bonus episode every week. Now, go to rockfin.com/History Homos and have a look at what the deal is, because they're just changing it about now, and I don't really know what the rules are now. It used to be, I think you're going to have an option where you can sign up for everybody on Rockfin or just us. So,
that's
I mean,
what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I just support Rockfin. I don't spend any time on their app because I think their app is terrible.
Yeah, but it's great
so clunky.
that
They're awesome, and
yeah, they are.
I give them $100 every year, and I hate their app.
Yeah, like apps are gay anyway. It's like The whole point of Rockfin is the reason we went with it was because we never really wanted to do a video show, but people kind of expect it, and the vast majority of our listeners just listen to the audio stuff. But you know, so we started a YouTube channel, which does exist, but we don't post anything on it because every time we do, we get a strike. God, this keeps cutting my video off. I'm sure it's my settings somewhere. And so we're just like, well, we're doing this for fun, because we do it for fun. We do it for our own amusement, and like editing ourselves for YouTube became like it's like, oh, we're spoiling the fun. And shout out to Monica Perez, the delightful Monica Perez, who came on our show and says, "Oh, you guys should be on Rockfin," and she put us up for it, and we got it. So it's great. I mean, we make a little bit of money out of it, but the main thing is we get to say whatever the hell we want, and they don't care. And why should the platform care what you say on it? It's crazy. What is Section 230? Yeah, it's supposed to mean the platform doesn't have to give a fuck what you say, right? So, come on, platforms, use Section 230.
My thing is always, I've been ranting this a lot lately, is that everybody has a block button. If you don't like something, you don't have to hear it, and and they're mad at things for simply existing. That really bothers me.
Well, in England, we had in the sort of 70s and 80s, we had this lady called Mary Whitehouse who used to write letters to fuck this camera thing. She used to write letters to MPs and stuff, and that's even the right camera now. That's an unflattering angle. It doesn't matter, it'll do. So she used to write letters to MPs. Whoa. And honestly, she had a fucking point, right? But now it's the other way around. It's the people who are the opposite of her who are doing what she did. People who say, this guy isn't saying it's great to fuck babies. How can you say it's not great to fuck babies? Well, it ain't great to fuck babies. Mary Whitehouse was right. And all my entertainment consumption is 19th century literature. That's where it's at, bro.
Okay.
That's where
nice.
Yeah. So that's the other thing I'm going to plug. Well, I'm going to plug my YouTube channel is Cheap Car State of Mind, but it doesn't have enough followers to have its own like URL. So just go to t.me/Cheap Car State of Mind for that.
I put the link in the show notes.
Yeah, that's fun. It's just stupid. It's me being funny or trying to be.
Oh.
And but yeah, it's I hate everything modern and the modern world. You need to read, or you can listen to the audio books of all the good books are out of copyright anyway, so you can fucking listen to them on YouTube. Get newpipe.net. Go to newpipe.net if you got an Android phone. Download the fucker. You can download any decent audio book you want. Frederick Marriott, what they call him, Joseph Conrad, Charles Dickens, P.G. Wodehouse. It's all on there. It's fucking great. Get amongst it. Live.
Well, I really appreciate you hanging out with me today, William.
No, it's great. I've enjoyed it, bro.
And
yeah, sorry, I have to go for
also look
Benzo Crush. Benzo Snort halfway through.
Delicious benzos and raw meat, right?
Yeah. It's just trinkets and details. Teenage son's balls are the trinkets, and the hot lead from the Israeli sniper is the detail.
Thanks, William.